Read question 31. See if you can try this one. If you borrow $2,000 at an interest rate of 12%, compounded weekly versus continuous. Yep, this is from last semester. But how long will it take you to, so the amount you will owe will be $6,000? So what's the formula that we use with compounding monthly, quarterly, weekly, annually? Do you remember this formula? A equals P times 1 plus R over N to the N times T power. That's the formula. So now let's put in place all of the stuff we know. So you're going to borrow $2,000 and we want to end up with $6,000. So where does the $6,000 and the $2,000 go? $6,000 goes where? A, yep. And P is your $2,000. Now, what is the interest rate? 12%. So we're going to write 0.12 because we always put it in decimal form, right? Interest rate's always in decimal form. How long, so what are we looking for? T. How long will it take until till you earn that amount? So it's 52 weeks in a year. So the N value is 52. You gotta know that. And T is our variable. Now that's something that we really haven't worked on, but can you solve this problem? What do you think you would do first? Divide by 2,000. You want to get rid of this 2,000. How come you're not adding to or subtracting 2,000? Because it's multiplied. So if you, can you do that in your head? What's 6,000 divided by 2,000? 3. Right?
I would do that. So did I. What is it? Oh, 3.
I did too.
Right, you guys? Watch this. Watch this trick. 6,000 divided by 2,000. Did you know you can do this? Knock off these zeros, and 2 goes into 6. They just learned something.
Don't judge.
Okay, now.
This is PreCalc studies.
I know.
I didn't do it right.
You're in the wrong class. This is 3rd hour.
I wondered why they didn't look familiar.
Ms. Burbank wants to help you guys.
Yeah, no, I'm in the next class. What, 3rd hour?
Yeah.
And I.
Sorry.
Oh, good Lord.
All right, what are you
That's
going to
what
do
happens
next with this problem? I heard combine the 1 plus 0.12 over 52. So if I would probably first do this. 0.12 divided by 52 is 0.002 and then add 1. So what this power is 1.002. You're going to raise this to the 52t power. And do you mind if I put the 3 here? Flip it over. All right, now what are you going to do with this problem? Rewrite it in what form? Log. How would you rewrite this in log form? Log of 3 base 1.002 is equal to 52t. Then what are you going to do? Do this log of 3 base 1.002 and then take that answer and divide it by 52. Anyone have an answer yet? That's what I got, 10.57. Does anyone want me to show you how to do that on the calculator?
Yes, please.
Okay, on the Inspire,
Oh, yeah.
you want to do the Inspire? We'll do the Inspire. So what I would hit is, for this, I would type in log, and then you're going to, for your base, 1.002, and then arrow over, and you're going to put a 3 there, and then hit enter, take that answer and divide it by 52, and you get 10.57. Now for the, if you use your calculator, you're gonna do log of 3 divided by log of 1.002.
I did
Hit
that.
enter, and then divide that by 52. You do
Oh,
that.
you went for the point there.
Did you get it? Yes?
Yeah.
Okay. So to answer the question,
Oh, yeah.
how long would it take for that 2,000 to turn into 6,000? It would take earning 12% interest compounding weekly. It would take about 10 and a half years. Okay, that's your answer, 10 and a half years. All right, try 32. Now today's a Wednesday, so we don't have a lot of time, so I'm just gonna pick certain problems out. In 1990, the value of a portrait was $3,500. If you get a good portrait, it goes up in value. In 2010, it was worth $5,000. Assuming continuous, see this word? Continuous exponential growth. We want to know what the rate is of that portrait's value. So what formula do you use for continuous growth? PERT. PERT. Okay, so at the end of this time frame, it was worth 5,000. So the 5,000 is your A value. It began worth 3,500. We don't know what the rate is, so that's going to be our unknown, our variable. And the time, how much time passed from 1990 to 2010? 20 years. How will you solve that problem? So divide by, do 5,000 divided by 3,500. What do you get? 5,000 divided by 3,500. You could knock the two zeros out, but you get 1.43. So these two, you get 1.43 e to the 20r power. Now what do? Write this in log form. What does it look like in log form? Now, if you need to start like that, some people do, they get disoriented, fix it. You can rewrite it. It's not going to kill you. So now, it would be the log, going up here now, the log of 1.43 base E is equal to your 20R. But what's another name for log base E? What does this, ln? ln 1.43, how do you finish this problem off? You type in ln 1.43 and then do what? Divide by 20. And I got, R is 0.0179, but the question says round to the nearest tenth of a percent. So if we move this 2 places over, we get 1.79%, but they want the nearest tenth percent, so what are you gonna write? 1.8% would be the correct answer. Okay? Now, I wanna go, I'm gonna try and hit on the problems that you guys had the hardest time with. 29. You guys were fuzzy on this one. This is on your test tomorrow. How do you factor this? How do you factor it? It's a trinomial. It looks like a trinomial, it is a trinomial. You're gonna factor it. So can you tell me, how would you split e to the 2x power? How do you break that up so that these two multiply to give you e to the 2x? E to the x times e to the x. Do you agree is e to the 2x? Okay, now, what times what is -9 but adds to be -8? Is that right? Okay, next, what do? Set each of these equal to 0. Next, what do? Solve. You're going to add 9. And then rewrite it, right? It'd be the log of 9 base E is x, or it'd be ln of 9. So with your calculator handy, type in ln 9 and you get 2.2. The other side, what would you do?
Subtract one.
I heard can't.
Oh, yeah. 'cause
Someone
it's-
said you can't. Why can't you? Yes, you're right. Because when you start writing this out, you notice, oh, that number can't, you can't take the ln or log of, this number can't be a 0 or a negative. If you try to do it on your calculator, no solution on that side. So the only answer is this one. Now, see if you can factor number 30. It's the same type of factoring, but the base is not an E, it's a 3. So how would you factor this? See if you can get the fact two products. Anyone know it? 3 to the x, good job. And what times what is negative 15 but adds to you 2? Yep. So set each of these equal to 0. So 3 to the x power plus 5 is 0.
Actually, that's right. Would that be 9 to the 2x, or is that not how you do it?
Wait, what?
3x and 3x would be 3x and like 1.
No, this times this is 3 to the 2x. That's right. Uh-huh.
Okay.
When you multiply 3 to the x times 3 to the x, if bases are the same, you leave the base the same and you add these two.
Yeah.
Remember that? Okay, so what happens on the left side? You're not gonna be able to do this one. This one you can do in your head, right? What's this answer? 1. X is 1. You don't even need a calculator for that one. Okay? Working backwards. You guys like working backwards? Okay, on this page, look at 19. How are you going to solve this one? We did these, not yesterday, but the day before. Get the bases to be the same, because you can. This 8 you can write as 2 to the 3rd power. And what can you do this as? 2 squared. Okay, tell me what to do next. Cross out these 2's and set the exponents equal to each other. So in other words, 3x is equal to 2x squared minus 6x. Or no, minus 6. Not 6x, just minus 6. And then what? We want to get this over on this side. We want the 0 to be on that side now. Michael, how do you factor this one? He's my factor. 3 and 2. Is that right? 6? Nope, that doesn't work. How about if we do it the other way? 3 and 2? 4? No. Do we have to use the quadratic formula?
Yes.
6? Want to try 6 and 1? Does that work?
No.
No, it doesn't. You get 4. You have to use the quadratic formula for this one. So we're not going to go there. The one I give you is going to be factorable. How's that? I already tested you on the quadratic formula. So this will, the one you do for me will be factorable. Okay, but what do you do for 20? What do you do for 20? Quickly. You're going to want to do these fast. Huh? Add 5. Can you do that in your head? You get 1, and then what? And so what do you start off with? This is what you're starting off with. So we added 5, you got 1, divide by 2, you get a half. Now what? Now what?
Put in the form.
Log of 1/2 base 4 is equal to x. Type that in your calculator to get the answer. Okay, what is the answer? Anyone have it? What is it? Right, that's okay.
Do you have a smart board?
No. Oh, yeah, that?
Yeah. Have you had that one hooked up before?
No, because I was told that it's fuzzy. If you move it,
Yeah, okay. I was wondering because, is that the one that came on Gerald?
yes,
Yeah, that one's,
it's not, okay. Do you want it?
I'm looking for one that's working, right?
Oh, yeah, no.
Okay.
I don't have, can't help you.
Okay, all right, thanks, sorry to interrupt.
That's okay. Yes,
It's negative a half.
it's negative a half. It's negative a half?
Yeah.
So like another root.
Okay, so let's double check here. We got,
Yeah, that's what I got.
so we're gonna do log, and you're gonna have 4 here, and 1/2, and your answer is negative 0.5, correct? Now, this is my least favorite one to do, 21. You can't do what we just did on either one of those two problems. What do you have to do in this problem?
ln.
You have to take the ln of both sides. You have to write ln of 2 times to the x minus 1 and ln 3 to the 2x plus 3, okay? Then what are you gonna do?
Yeah, put the things in front of it.
You're gonna put these two powers in front. So they go in front of the ln. So you've got really ln2, and I'm gonna put in the back if you don't mind. You could do front or back. Then what do you do?
I'm gonna find the ln2 and ln3.
You gotta find out what ln2 is and what ln3 is, and then you have to use the distributive property and solve. Can you guys handle that on your own?
Yeah.
Okay, good. Let's keep moving. My point is to make sure you understand the process on these more so than the answer. You guys tomorrow can work on the answers when you do your partner test. What would you do for 22? We don't have to do the problem, I just wanna make sure you can do it. You're gonna divide what?
7.5.
Okay, and then what do you do? Then what?
Put it
Then you're gonna rewrite it. So you have e to the negative 4x equals, and I'll just quickly give you 1500 divided by 725 is 2.0, we're gonna say 7. And here, you're gonna, once you have your base by itself, you would write the log of 2.07 base e is equal to negative 4x, which is ln. And you guys can take it from there, right? Do that, divide by negative 4. How would you do 23? How would you do 23? Combine the left side, how? Then what? Yep. So you have x times 3x minus 5 equals 2. And from there, would you know what to do? Yeah. What would you do? You would distribute and then set it equal to 0 and factor. How would you do 24? How would you do 24? What does that property say to do? You're going to what? Divide them. X plus 8 over x equals 1. Now, this is the one that drives me absolutely nuts because I get a lot of people crossing this ln out. You can't cross that out. You don't have one on the other side to cross out. So what do you do instead? Giving you a hint. What do you do instead? Rewrite it. as e to the first power equals x plus 8 over x. This is 2.718, multiply, cross multiply, and then you can figure it out from there. Okay? For number 25, what would you do for this problem? You could do this in a couple different ways. You know, you can get rid of this 4, you can divide both sides by 4. So you have ln 6 plus x equals whatever that is, and then what would you do? 19 divided by 4 is 4.75. Then how would you find this answer? Rewrite it. Rewrite it. What's the base here? E to the 4.7, this is a calculator problem, equals 6 plus x. Figure that out and then subtract 6. Whoops. How would you do 26? I would do some moving around. I would move this to the other side. I would write this as the log of x squared minus 1 minus the log of x plus 1 equals 2. How would you condense the left side now? Division. And you know what you could do with this? Anyone know what they can do with that x squared minus 1 over x plus 1? You can factor that. This is the difference of two perfect squares. These cancel. So now, the problem that you have simplified, it's x plus 1 over 1. You don't need the x, you don't need the over 1. Let me just write it better. Now what are you going to do? Rewrite it. What's the base? 10 to the second power is x minus 1. What is 10 to the second power? 100. What's your answer? 101. And for 27, I would call this a calculator problem. How would you simply do this one? Plug it in. Type it in your calculator. If you have the 83s, you would do log of 9 divided by log of 4. If you have the Inspire in front of you, you would type in log 4, 9, and what's your answer? Anyone? 1.5 what? 80. Excellent. Okay. Time is running out. Go to the front page. How do you graph these log problems? How do you graph these log problems? Well, what is your actual parent function on this? See if you remember how to do these. This would be y equals the log of x base 2, which is really 2 to the y power is x, right? So what did we do when we graphed these? This is a review from a long time ago. You're going to plug in numbers like -1, 0, 1, and 2 and figure out what your x value is now instead. Now tell me if you remember what to do with this problem. I know I have to rewrite something. What needs to come out? The 2. Correct? Can you tell me all of the transformations on this problem?
Yeah.
What does the 2 do? It's a horizontal compression by a half. How do you do it on the T-chart? You take your x values and you multiply it by a half. So give me the x values multiplied by a half. You get a fourth, a half, 1, and 2. The next thing you're gonna do is this operation right here. You're gonna add 1 to your x's. So if you added 1 to these x's, what would you get? Add 1 here, what do you get? You get 5/4. Add 1, you get 1 1/2. Add 1, you get 2. Add 1, you get 3. So it's the x plus 1. And the last thing you're gonna do, you're gonna take your y values and do what with them? Multiply them by -1. So if you multiply these by -1, you get 1, 0, -1, and -2. So these are the points you're gonna plot right here. So over 5/4 up 1. Over 1 1/2 up 0. Over 2 down 1, sorry, it's really squishy. And over 3 down 2. Looks like this. Now there's something, we have an asymptote, and you get it out of this equation. It's this right here. X, the opposite of this is x equals 1. X equals 1 is your vertical asymptote. This is going to tell you what your domain is. Your domain for this problem, your domain is going to be all the x values greater than 1, and your range for these is all real numbers. Now for number 2, I'm not going to expect you to graph this one by hand. Can you just tell me what the base is? It is e. So this would be e to the y power is x. That's why I'm not going to have you do it by hand. Can you just tell me the transformations and what the asymptote is? It's going to be the parent. It's your. You would take this function and shift it where? 3 left.
1.
Vertical stretch by 2 and 1 up. And your asymptote is going to be x equals -3. So your domain will be x is greater than -3, and your range is going to be all real numbers. And this last one, number 3, how would you rewrite this one, and what's the base? What is the base on this one? It's a 10. It's a 10. So this is 10 to the y power is x. But you need to rewrite this problem because it's mixed up. It says 3 log, it says -x plus 2. So what do we pull out first? The -1. And you have x minus 2. So tell me what, you would take your parent function, which is, you would take these points, which is 1/10, 1, 10, and 100. And what would you do with them? Just tell me, we're not going to do it, but just tell me what you would do. You would take your what? Your x values and multiply them by -1. Then you would add 2 to your x values, and then you would multiply the y values by 3. You remember doing this, guys? It's been a while. Okay? Next, might only have time for 1 or 2 more problems. I want to go to the number 11 and 12. 11 and 12. And we're going to run out of time. How would you condense this? Well, I see a -2 in front, so I'm going to distribute the -2. -2 times this is -2 ln x cubed minus -2 times 4 is -8. Okay, now, what do you know about these numbers that are in these coefficients? What are they really? What's that coefficient really? What's this coefficient really, and what's this? Yeah, they're exponents, so that's going to be x to the 4th. What's this ln x to the, it's gonna be 6. And this is gonna be ln x to the 8th power. Now, we've got 2 subtractions, so these 2 are gonna go where? In the denominator. So how would you condense this? Ln, the x to the 4th stays on top, and the 6th and the 8th go on the bottom. But can you simplify this anymore? 4 of these x's cancel with 4, so you're better, the best answer would be 1 over x to the 10th power, if you simplified it. Because you have 14 x's down here. And I think we have time for one more. How would you condense this one? There's a product right here that you can expand. Log of 7 base 7 plus the log of x base 7 plus the log of y base 7 minus 1. Do you see something that cancels? What's the log of 7 base 7 equal to? 1. This is equal to 1, but you have a minus 1 here. What happens to these? They cancel, so what's your final answer? Log of xy base 7. We just condensed it. This one we had to expand it to condense it. The rest is your homework. The bell's gonna ring.